over the last couple of summer, we realized that during the summer, when we walk near the window, we can feel heat coming near the window, and that's a big issue by itself. And then we realized during the wintertime, we spend endless hours covering every windows with what they call the plastic film, and you have to use a hair dryer, blow on it until it's become like a really stretched out piece of plastic to kind of hold the air in. That did the trick, but we still felt the cold air. And we realized that, early last year we go, it's time. We really need to think about having windows change. And ever since we got the windows change, huge difference. And not only that, we were also looking at our electric bill and our gas, oil bill. And the bill was just tremendous because it's like the heat can't keep up during the wintertime with the cold air that's coming in through the window, even with the plastic film that was being covered on the windows.
What I wanted to do was I wanted to do the homework up front because it was a major purchase in our budget. So what I decided to do was I wanted to test the theory of how do you maximize the value for I guess the bucks. How do you get the bang for the bucks? So I called about 5 to 6 different companies. But the way I did it was I wanted to have a realistic gauge. So I called the lowest end of the window home improvement as well as the highest end so that I would have a comparison. And I wanted to know, what is the difference from the lower end to the higher end? What's the quality? What are they really giving me? If there's not much difference, then what am I really paying for? For me, how I ranked it was if there was personal experience. So referrals, for me and my culture, referrals were a big asset because I knew that it was not a marketing pitch then.
How we search for the right contractor or contractors to do certain work is, we, of course, with today's technology, we Google, right? And we also look at with Angie's List, they have some feedback on a lot of companies. So we looked at some of that. But more than anything, I think it's more just feedback from people who we know, or we ask around, hey, who did you get your stuff done by? Which company was it that you got it done by? And how do you feel about that? And what did this service they provide you? A lot of it was just basically word of mouth. And for us, we value in a lot of what we consider customer service and feedback from friends and family who we know had a service done by another company. And because of that, we value what they say, and that's how we select a certain company.
The irony of it was actually I had, a list of about 6 to 7 contractors, and then I heard from a friend about Fred's Best. So I added that additional contact to the list. And what I noticed was one of the reasons that I wanted to call such a diverse range was, first off, I wanted to make sure that I was an educated consumer. So the first couple contractors that came in, I started being able to kind of mimic their presentation and understanding how they were doing the sales process. And I realized that I wasn't getting a lot of information actually about the windows itself or the products. It was a very strategized process of how are we going to do the presentation? How are we going to walk you through wowing you about the aesthetics of the product and what are its assets? But when I asked other questions that were external, they didn't have a lot of answers about the windows itself.
Every company that came in pretty much kind of threw this sales pitch and had this presentation. And the one thing I realized that a lot of them all have this lighting test, the double pane versus triple pane, and putting the light in front of it. And I realized that, right? I mean, I understand how that all works, but one thing that I did realize when Fred's Best came in, it's a little different. William came in with a notebook, a pencil, and a bottle of water. That's what he came in with, nothing more than that. So I said, where's the presentation? He's like, I'm coming here to understand who you are and your needs. And I'm go, wow. So a lot of contractors who came in gave us a price quote of X dollar amount. and we went and we were indecisive, and we're like, wow, the price is pretty high, right? 10 minutes later, automatic change. It went from, let's say, X dollar amount to half the price. And my biggest concern is, how do you go from price A to half that price in 10 minutes when you're worried that I'm not going to accept the contract? And to me, my first thing is going, am I going to get half the service? Am I going to get half the quality?
So I called companies that I knew were going to be on the lower end, where they were kind of getting windows from like a large retail and just installing as contractors, all the way to your proprietary window line. We got various pricing aspects. And what was intriguing was the fact that when I called them back and said I had a counter offer, they were willing to match it. But I was wondering, where is the price difference coming out of? Is it coming out of the materials when you're going to install my windows? Are you giving me, like one contractor said, well, we can match that price, but you're going to get the discontinued model or the older models. So it made me think, okay, how much is really being disclosed to me? Am I really being an educated consumer if I'm just going to go towards pricing?
Ultimately, it was a family decision, right? So Fred's Best, of course, William came out and sat with the family, not just myself and Tiffany. We sat with the entire family and sat and understand our needs and our concerns and answer a lot of questions. We spent a lot of time just having a discussion about our needs, and he was able to answer a lot of questions. Family felt very comfortable with everything he has to offer, and not only that, just that, just the rapport we built from William, our family just go, this gentleman who came in here was not trying to sell us a product that we didn't want. He was understanding our needs, and not only that, understand our concern about how windows are going to be installed, how everything was going to be done.
In the home, there are a lot of fragile items and everything, and we noticed that from day one, as soon as they stepped in, they were very, very professional. Everything was covered, everything was cleaned up in a timely fashion. They were here on time. The communication was wonderful because up front they contacted us and let us know when they were coming, and followed up on any questions we might have had.
But just the staff that was there was very professional. Not only that, very friendly staff. I'd say hello, everybody's like, hello, how are you doing? It's pretty amazing. Not just from William, who came in to work with us on the contract, but just the entire staff that came in. It was like I said, it was like building a rapport, and not only that, it's like almost like a family. It's almost like saying, hey, Bill, hey, John, how are you doing? It's almost like that. Now that we have new windows installed at Fred's Best, right? A lot of difference, right? This winter, we realized one thing. We didn't feel a lot of cold draft at all. We didn't feel any cold draft coming in. We didn't have to even put on the plastic shield like we used to do. And we would spend hundreds of dollars just to make sure all the windows are covered. We didn't have to do any of that. And not only that, during the early summer this year, we realized that when we looked at our electric bill, our energy efficiency is very efficient now, and electric bill went down. Not only that, just the windows that Fred's Best has suggested and installed for us, we could tell a big difference in noise. So we don't hear, we used to be able to hear our AC unit when it kicks on. We can't hear that anymore. Not only that, you don't really hear a lot of noise from the exterior, and that is a huge difference, I think, overall. We actually decided to work on a second project, actually a second and a third project. Our second project is to get the rest of the windows in this house changed, replaced. So Fred's Best is coming out to do that on a second project. Third project is that we realized that, Fred's Best also offered another service, which is doing roofing. So we're having Fred's Best come out to do roofing, and that's like a no-brainer.
So what I learned from William was that what I was looking for was an expert in the field of windows in that particular time. And he was able, in his presentation, in his time with me and my family, he was able to educate me on some of the facts that I didn't know about windows. And that was very important because that meant that he was one of the experts in the field, and he really was passionate about his products. He took the time to come to our home, understand our needs, which meant that in he had the mentality that, you know, our home is just as important as his home. And he recommended products that, you know, he would have used in his own home based on our current budget.